Greetings and welcome, collaborators, to the beginning of a new month, February 1972, week one of Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine. The show, the series of videos in which I, Clobby, the ever-loving brown-eyed thing, take you to my comic shop, my spinner rack time machine, which is a TARDIS, disguised as a early 70s Bronze Age spinner rack. And you come into Clobby'S Comics Corner, my comic shop, and we pick out, I pick out my anywhere from 8 to 10 or 11 choices of new comics for that week. And we take a look at, what it was like to buy comic shops, or what it would be like to buy comic shops in a comic shop with a folder system, and with a pull list 50 years ago. And of course, my follow-up quick bits video the next day, which will drop the day after this one usually, will of course recap the ones that did not quite make my list. So that's basically what we do here. There is, of course, a link in my description below, which is the Clobby'S Comics Corner playlist, which will take you to all of my previous videos. If you have not seen any, if this is your first time, please check that out. And I've been doing this since September of 2021. As I just decided 50 years was a good, round number to go back, of course. So anyway, what I do is I'll take a little bit of a walk back in time. And of course, please, if you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe, and please like this video if you do like it, and subscribe to this channel, and check us out on my many streams of comics and Star Trek and other things, and all things geek, and of course my videos. So thank you so much for being here. Let us get on with our Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine, February 1972, week one. Let's take a look at the comics that I picked up on my pull list at the comic shop this glorious week, 50 years ago today, this week. And of course, it would be King Alert, The Forever People, number 8. Yes, indeed. This, of course, in the early days of the King of Comics, Jack Kirby's tenure at DC, right after leaving, or not too long after leaving Marvel Comics, to usher in the Bronze Age, pretty much. And this is one of his, of course, fourth world titles. Forever People, number 8. This one has basically, who did it, of course. Story and art and pretty much everything, of course, by the great Jack Kirby, with some inks by Mike Royer, one of his most faithful of inkers, and with a nifty reprint from Adventure Comics number 77 by the old Simon and Kirby, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby team from the Golden Age, and of course, a Kirby and Royer cover. So always love that. Always love me some Kirby. If you're new here, Clobber's Times is all about the Kirby. Next up, just go a little bit off the wall here. Let's go to a Charlton comic. Let's go to a Charlton Western comic, something I've not done yet. And I want to dedicate this one to a very dear friend of mine who was a good fan of this comic. And if he sees these videos sometimes, hey, buddy, CM. Let's see what your CMC, your initials. This is for you, Billy the Kid, number 91. He was always a fan of this comic book. Stories, Joe Gill and Pat Boyette. Art, Jose Delbo and Pat Boyette. There's various stories, various art, of course, in this comic, with a Jose Delbo cover. And so, yeah, just thought we'd throw a little bit of love to something of an off-the-wall title that I have not done yet. Just something that, I just not really on my pull list, but I just decided to grab it anyway while I was standing there at the comic shop. Something that's always on my pull list. Although, yeah, pretty much I always get this one here at the Clobby'S Comics Corner. From Gold Key Comics, Magnus Robot Fighter 4000 AD, number 31. This story by Herb Castle, art by the extraordinary Magnus artist Russ Manning with a Mike Royer cover. Yes, Mike Royer before his days, around his day, or during his days, he was inking for Kirby at DC. He was apparently doing little gold key work. And next up, Our Army at War, number 244. Story and art for the first story, of course, the incomparable Russ Heath. What a great one he was. Reprint stories by Bob Haney and Sam Glanzman with a lot of art in the reprint. Again, these big 52 pagers for DC, you were filled with reprints at that point. In addition to a new story like the aforementioned Russ Heath story. So, yeah, but the other stories, again, all reprints, Bob Haney and Sam Glanzman on the stories. The art, Mort Drucker. Yes, they have Mort Drucker. Ross Andrew, Mike Esposito, Jack Abel, some more Sam Glanzman. Art, of course. And as always, with a nifty Joe Kubert cover. Gotta love his stuff. Amazing stuff. Back at Charlton. Here we are back at Charlton again with the Phantom, number 49. With some stories by Joe Gill, artwork by Pat Boyette with a Pat Boyette cover. Yeah, I love the Ghost Who Walks. And 3 complete jungle stories. So there are multiple stories in this one to choose from with a 20-cent cover price. All Star Western, number 11. Story and art, 1. John Albano, Tony DeZuniga. That would be the second ever appearance of Jonah Hex, because he appeared, of course, in All Star Western number 10, which we talked about a little bit last month. So, yes, just getting started in his adventures, the legendary DC Western hero, whom I love, of course, the great Jonah Hex. Story 2, Sergio Aragonés, Lynn Wein, Gray Morrow. God, I love some Gray Morrow. So there's some great names right there for some comics. And story art 3 was a reprint from Western Comics 79. The great Gardner Fox and Carmen Infantino. That's a great team up right there. And I never really thought of Gardner Fox too much as a Western writer, but or Infantino as a Western artist. But there you are, story and art for reprint from Batlash number 7, Sergio Aragonés, and Dennis O'Neil and Nick Hardy. And this one sports a nifty Nestor Redondo cover. There's something you didn't see every day. And Redondo was an excellent artist back then, and for DC. This was a rare cover for him because he didn't do a lot, but he was pretty impressive. The Brave and the Bold, number 101. And here we have story by the legendary Brave and the Bold and other writer, but especially Brave and Bold writer, Mr. Continuity himself, Earth B man Bob Haney, with art by the great Jim Aparo, the ultimate of the Brave and Bold artists, and one of my favorite Batman artists. Second story, a reprint from Brave and the Bold, number 19, with Bob Haney again, and wow, the great Joe Kubert on the interior there. And it sports a nifty Nick Hardy cover. And it's Batman in Metamorpho. What's not to love? I love Mr. Metamorpho. Now we got one of those rare wraparound covers for DC Comics 100-page Super Spectacular, which is really, shoehorned into The Flash number 214. But it's all a bunch of reprint stuff. Again, this is not an uncommon thing. They get that's why they were doing a lot of reprints at this time. They get way behind, and they had a lot of surplus stories sitting around. And sometimes deadlines were just a killer. So once in a while, hey, throw the readers. When you were a kid back then, because I was a kid back then buying comics, I'm old. You didn't know what a reprint was necessarily. And if you bought 50 cents was a lot for a comic, but hey, this thing had 100 pages in it. You were getting the deal, and you were getting a lot of comic book for your money. And of course, this one has a rare wraparound cover by the great Nick Hardy. And of course, stories galore by John Broome, Robert Kanigher, Gardner Fox. I forgot to put his last name. Oh, well. And some art, of course, by Carmen Infantino, Joe Giella, Bill Clackenbush, Paul Norris, Seymour Berry, Bernard Sachs, Ross Andrew, Mike Esposito. All in all, a great package. And again, I just loved me a wraparound cover. Who doesn't love a wraparound cover? Daredevil, number 87. Loving this one. Now we're back over at Marvel with the 20 centers, with the comics with just one story in them, because DC was flooding their comics. Marvel wasn't really doing that. They had to reprint books, but they weren't flooding their non-reprint comics with that as much as DC was at that point. Story, Jerry Conway. Art, Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. Cover, John Buscema and Frank Giosia. And yes, love me some DD. And he's hanging out here battling Electro, saying, "Hey, what are you doing in my comic?" "Oh, I thought this was Spider-Man." "Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong comic, but I'll blast you anyway, Hornhead." "I'll go bug Spider-Man. I got enough problems with all of my villains. Jeez." So, anyway. GI Combat number 153. Story, art, 1. Robert Kanigher and Doug Wildey. Yes, Doug Wildey is in Johnny Quest fame. Story art 2, Norman Mauer. Story art 3, reprint GI Combat 66. That would be Mr. Continuity, Bob Haney, Mort Drucker. Mr. Mad Magazine, Mort Drucker. Story art 4, Our Fighting Forces number 19. I think it was. I can't see it that well. Can't see my own damn. Oh, well, whatever. Robert Kanigher, Joe Kubert. And story art 4, Sam Glanzman. See what I mean? This thing is chock full with stories. That big 52-pager that DC was so known for at this time. With, of course, another great Joe Kubert cover. And finally, for the week, we have the Invincible Iron Man number 46. This one goes out to you, dedicate you to you, the great D. Bud Martin, the Man of Iron. I know you love some Iron Man, brother. I know you have this issue. I know it. Story, Gary Friedrich. Art, one of your favorite teams, buddy, George Tuska, with John Verporten doing the inks. So it's probably a lot better than Mr. Vinny. With just a beautiful cover by Gil Kane and Ralph Reese. Just astonishing. Great cover there. So you got to love that. Of course, who doesn't love old Shellhead? And that is a great era. And I know you really like this era of Iron Man, my buddy D. Bud Martin. So, hey, that one's for you, pal. And that will wrap it up for Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine. I would like to thank you all for being here with me today and joining me for this video. And to a day whatever day this lands on, I think it'll be a Friday. The following day will be the Quick Bits video, where I'll wrap up and show you some of the books that did not quite make the cut, because as I always show you, the site I use is Mike's Amazing World. And as you can see, that's a great site. I have the link in my description below, the newsstand section, and you could, and we got a lot of great stuff on that site, of course, but you can find out anything you need to know in terms of comics history with regards to publishing and things like that. It's a great site. I highly recommend it for research or just fun. So please go check that out. And again, I really appreciate you being here. If you would, please consider subscribing to the channel, and please click like on the video if you liked it. And please enter in my comments section if you would. Let me know which comics you would have bought out of the ones I selected, or maybe you wouldn't have. Which selections did you not like? So until the next video, thank you so much for being here. And as always, a big shout out to my wonderful First Officer, the beautiful RM Commander Briggs, for this lovely outro that she made for me. And I will see you next time. Clobber on, clobberers.